Just about 9:31, a mother's tears and emotional courtroom exit marked the sentencing hearing for a convicted killer.
Harsh words for Joseph Alvarado from the mother of the man he killed amid screams from Alvarado's relatives. Paul Venema was there. Here's a clip from the story.
After reviewing a pre-sentencing report, Judge Jennifer Pena sentenced Alvarado to 65 years in prison, prompting an outburst from his relatives. Order restored the victim's mother with an emotional statement of her own.
I hope one day that I do get my faith back and I can pray for you, because I can't pray for you right now. Tariq was my everything. He was my world.
Emotionally charged for sure. Paul Venema joins us now for our weekly court debrief. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, guys.
Alvarado and the co-defendants originally charged with capital murder. Break this down. Why were the charges reduced to murder?
Well, it originally came out, there were a bunch of them, actually him and 4 others, but one was a juvenile, the charge was dismissed. Anyway, to make a short story long, they got to reviewing the case, saw that they probably didn't have the evidence to support capital murder. So they, in erring and side of caution, decided we'll go ahead and make it a capital murder case. And that made it a little bit easier to do some negotiating with the co-defendants.
Now, I know that he chose to have the judge decide his punishment, set his punishment. What do you think the factors are that went into that?
You know, that's a tough call, and it's one that they have to make before they even begin jury selection. And it depends on the advice of his attorney, quite frankly, because the defendant doesn't have a real grasp of the criminal justice system. So his lawyer will evaluate the case, the facts of the case, and take a look at the judge, because every judge looks at things just a little bit different. Some are obviously tougher than others. So it'll depend on what his lawyer tells him. And in this case, in all likelihood, he probably said you've got a better chance with the judge, simply because the judge has seen a lot. The judge has a lot to base her opinion on, whereas a jury, the facts of the case might really seem egregious to the point that they're really going to come down hard on this fellow. So the lawyer is critical in making that decision.
So a judge can separate emotions from the facts, and a jury could actually have to reach an emotional decision.
Yeah, not totally separate the facts, but enough to look at it a little bit closer and realize actually what is there. But there's still emotion factors into it, which is why we have the evidence phase during the punishment phase of the trial yesterday.
We've touched on how emotional much of this has been, and you said the mother, the victim's mother, testified during the punishment phase. Talk a little bit about what she had to say.
Yeah, we saw her there, and she said she's not ready to forgive. She is Tariq Ross was her everything, were her words, and she said, you know, I feel as though at some day I hope I can get my faith back and I'll be able to pray for you, but right now I can't do that. She was just still very emotional.
Well, just curious. The punishment phase, if the judge is the one who's going to decide the punishment, is that more for the victims to have a chance to address the court and the defendant, or does it play into his final decision?
Well, the judge is going to make that call based on a lot of things, and certainly the evidence she hears during the punishment phase is going to factor in. I think the judge at this point of the whole proceeding, the judge has reviewed everything on paper. There is his criminal record, these kind of things, but there's still, as you mentioned before, there's the emotional consideration, and the defendant has the opportunity to testify, which he did not. So there's a couple of things that the judge can still consider in making her punishment decision, but in all likelihood, she's got a pretty good idea of where she's going, just based on the pre-sentencing investigation, which in this case included he had a really rough. He's been in the criminal justice system since he was 11, and he's had a rough life. He's been to the pen for 3 years. So, and these things the jury would have learned had they gone to the jury for punishment.
Right.
The judge has this information, and so she has that to work with, as well as the PSI.
All right, Paul, thanks so much for coming in for our weekly debrief. Right. Look for more coverage online and, of course, in our later newscasts.
Yes, and look forward to the next one.